Sorry. I was just testing the microphone. How's everyone doing tonight? I just saw that it was like 11, so I hit go live. Normally, I would like test the cameras and the mic before I went live, but I was like, it was like 9 minutes to 11, and I launched a 7-minute video, and I was just like wondering, can I get the setup done before that video ends, and can I like go online before it ends? So here I am. I'm online. I saw it was 11, so I just hit go live. So it may not be perfect, but I think it's. Yeah, let's just go through the cameras right now, see if they're working. I also have kind of a funny story, but and maybe it's like a coincidence, but I was kind of happy with it. No, ask me a question. What's up? All right, I'm going to take 30 seconds just to go see what my son wants. I'll be right back. Yes, I did just start the stream, but what's up? Oh, that was bad. That was like all of the pins breaking at once. Yeah, that don't sound good. I wonder if he faked that somehow. Like, what's that job in the movies?
They're pretty clearly bent sideways in the video.
Yeah, okay. I just know movie magic, there's these people whose whole job is like,
To fake that stuff?
yeah, to fake those sort of sounds. Yeah. Alright. My son showed me a clip of someone installing a SSD drive in their computer and bending the connectors, and the sound of like all those connectors bending at once, it was pretty bad. And then what is that job in the movies? There's people who like, they fake sounds. So like when they want zombie sounds, they like have a pig chew chicken bones or something like that. Like, there's a name for those people who do that. Anyway, I speculated if the sound of the chip breaking could be fake, or if someone really broke a chip to make a video. Maybe it's not a bad idea. I mean, it is technically a waste of a chip, so I would be against it. But yeah, I mean, if you break a $99 chip to create a video that brings in $1 million, then I guess it's a good business move. But I'm against that. I almost feel like there should be a law against that. Like, one of the most popular guys on YouTube is this guy, Mr. Beast, and maybe his videos are fake, but like sometimes he'll have a video and it's like, I bought a Lamborghini and melted it down. And so I guess a Lamborghini costs like $250,000 or something. I don't know how much it costs to get a Lamborghini melted down. As soon as I don't know if you heard that. As soon as I said the Lamborghini, some car raced by outside. Good timing on that sound effect. But that was real. It wasn't movie magic. So, and now there's a train going by. I doubt you could hear that, though. That's kind of far away. So, this Mr. Beast will say, like, he'll have like a thumbnail of like himself making some like shocked face, and it'll say, I melted a Lamborghini, and something like that. It's kind of like clickbait, but he's got 150 million followers, so I guess it's not. Yeah, like, why would someone with 150 million followers even need to do clickbait? But anyway, that's what it is. And I never watched the video, so I don't know if he really melts down the car, but let's say it costs like, I don't know, $250,000 to buy the car, get it shipped and delivered and whatever. Or maybe you buy a used one, I don't know, and maybe it costs a little less. I don't know how much it costs to get the car melted down, but probably a few thousand, and the video production costs. So presumably he makes at least $300K on this video. Maybe he makes a few million per video. I have no idea. But there's something wrong with that. Like, you always see these, like, people. I'll start building the project in a minute, but, like, this is why people don't believe in protesters anymore, because you'll always see these protesters, like, think about, like, AOC in Congress or something like that, or, like, Greta Thunberg in the UN, and they're always, like, protesting everything, and they make it seem like everyone's the worst person in the world. Like, if you have, like, a stove that uses gas, you're, like, a horrible person. If you, like, drive a car, you're causing the earth to explode in 12 years. And they make these, like, dramatic statements, and they go to the UN and they go to Congress and they try to, like, pass laws so that people can't use, like, gas burning stoves. But, like, the most popular channel on YouTube is, like, melting down cars, and nobody says a word about it. And it makes everything look like it's politics. Like, maybe they just don't want gas burners because they're invested in the electric company and they're going to make money off it. Like, I don't know. Like, how do I know? But, like, isn't it bad? Like, when I was a kid, they, like, wouldn't let you throw out a pizza crust. Like, that's wasting food. Like, someone could use that. There's someone starving somewhere. You can't waste food. You have to eat the pizza crust. But nowadays YouTubers are, like, melting down cars, and that's fine. There's, like, some London YouTuber who's, like, kidnapping people's dogs and, like, raiding people's houses, and, like, nobody's getting arrested for any of this shit. There's something weird where, like, like, eBay is allowed to break every sales law. Uber is allowed to break every, like, taxi law, and YouTubers are allowed to break every law. Like, what is going on in this world? Why we, like, arrest people if they complain, like, you stole my vote and here's proof. And instead of looking at the proof, they arrest the person and give them, like, 18 years in jail. Or, like, someone protests that they want life, like, in the womb to be protected. I mean, people, like, play music for babies in the womb. People read stories to baby in the womb. They, like, talk to the baby because they want their voice imprinted on the baby. But if you say you want the baby to have the right to life, like, the government treats you like you're a terrorist. This is insane. So anyway, that leads me into, I should start building, but let me just go one more minute. It sort of leads me into the story. So I always wondered about this 311. It's in New York City. They have, like, commercials on Roku and on the radio, and they're like, if you need help with anything, call 311. So I called 311 and I said, you should first. My son was taking the road test, not the road test, the written test. One of them was taking the road test, the other one's taking the written test. They're, like, 17 months apart, so they're a few months apart in their, progress to their driver's license. So the one who's taking the written test, he's got the book out, and on the back of the book, let me see if I can bring it up on the phone. It's got an image. I took a picture of it. I sent it to 311, so I have the image. So there's the image. This is a sign. So on the back of the DMV book, there's a bunch of, like, common signs, and that was one of them. And the son who was taking the road test was also at a track meet yesterday, and track meet was on Randall's Island. And when we were leaving Randall's Island, there was, like, a concrete barrier, and there was a sign which had an arrow one way and an arrow the other way. And the sign, I'm, like, not exaggerating when I tell you the sign was maybe, like, 2, possibly 3 times the size of this tiny little nothing board. I could be exaggerating. I didn't get out of the car and measure it, but I'm picturing, like, turn this sideways, stack, like, 3, at most 4 of these, and that's the size of the sign. And all this sign has on it is arrows pointing in 2 different directions, like, one going up, one going down. And that's not even an official sign. There's a sign that's like a line and, like, a curved sign, but that's not what this means. And that picture I just showed you was from the back of the DMV book. Like, that's the official sign. So that's what the sign like looks like. Like that's the sign that you're supposed to use if you're saying go this way, not the other way. Not that 2-arrow sign. The 2-arrow sign just means like two-way traffic or whatever. But it's not really clear. It's not a common sign. So anyway, if you were to go to the left of this barrier, you would head onto oncoming traffic. And at the moment we were doing it, we couldn't see traffic in either direction because you're like climbing up from a hill when you see that sign. And there's the way it is on the bridge, there's like lights. And at this moment, there's no cars coming in either direction. So we go to the right because on the way up there earlier, we had went into the battery tunnel and I'd went in the left lane and my son was like, aren't we heading towards oncoming traffic? And I explained like, well, there's a green light ahead and this is the way the battery tunnel works. And basically both lanes were okay. So now we go to a similar situation coming home from Randall's Island, and it's again 2 lanes, but this time there's no light above it. There's no do not enter sign. There's no that official like sign that I showed you on my phone. There's just this little sign with 2 arrows. So I email, text message 311. I think it was like 311-632 or 362 or something like that. You can Google that, whatever the official way to text 311 is. Or maybe I was pranked by some wrong number. I don't know. Anyway, I text that sign to 311. I say, put it outside of Randall's Island. And they text back and they say, like, go here to request a sign. Like, you know, they were helpful. They said, like, you want to request a sign? Like, go to this website and request it. So then I thought, well, let me do another thing that's been on my mind, which is the train station in my neighborhood, which right now there's like a bunch of candles and memorials and people standing there in a vigil because a high school student died there last week. So I say we should put a speed bump in there. It's not safe. So I say like the Randall's Island exit is not safe, and I say the Annandale train station is not safe. And then I come here to start my stream. So that was like 10 minutes ago. Now, at this point, it's probably like 25 minutes ago. But anyway, when I'm setting up the stream, there's all these helicopters like hovering overhead. And I live like, you know, like I could probably throw a rock to the train station. It's like pretty close. I think I could throw a rock there. I believe I could from my backyard, but whatever. Maybe close to it. Anyway, there's like helicopter hovering overhead, and at first I'm thinking, oh, it's a helicopter. It's going to be annoying. You're going to hear it on the stream. But then I started thinking about this movie that I was watching recently. It was called The Batman. It's on Max, it's really HBO, but the logo is Max. They kind of rebranded. It's like Warner Brothers streaming. So Paramount has a streaming. It's called Paramount Plus. Disney has a streaming. It's called Disney Plus. Warner Brothers has a streaming, and it's called Max. So I don't know if you can figure out the logic on that. But anyway, so I was watching The Batman on Max, and The Batman is about the enemy in it is the Riddler, and he like sends notes to Batman, and then all the cops and everybody and the Catwoman and the Batman, they all rush there to stop the Riddler, who's basically, I don't know whether you want to call him a serial killer or a terrorist, but basically he telegraphs his next big crime. So anyway, I send these 2 messages to 311, and then there's a chopper hovering over the train station. And at first I think it's a coincidence, and then I have this paranoid thought, what if it's related? You know, I send 311 a message saying Annandale train station is unsafe, and a minute later they have like a chopper over that area. And now I don't think they can send a chopper every time someone sends a text. So this is why it's a little paranoid for me to say that my text would trigger it, because that would mean A, they knew who was texting them, and B, that they think I'm going to, you know, like they're treating my messages like Riddler messages. So maybe it was a coincidence. But if it wasn't a coincidence, I would applaud them, because that's great. You know, like someone sends a message that you view as threatening, you should do something about it. Now, of course, I legitimately think there should be a speed bump in front of that train station. I legitimately think they should add a sign to the exit road of Randall's Island. But, so hopefully they also follow through on the legitimate civics issues. But if they were at least following through on their like sort of paranoid anti-terrorism security protocols, I mean, that's a good thing, right? I know that people lots of times worry about violating their rights. I don't like when rights are taken away. Like, I don't like when someone guilt trips you and says, like, you have to watch this movie, otherwise you'll be deemed a racist, or you have to support this, like, new type of, like, social identity, otherwise you're a phobic. Like, I don't like that. But when they say, like, they're going to read your emails for security, like, yeah, go ahead. Like, read the emails. Like, I got nothing to hide. Now, the problem is if someone takes those emails, and I suspect that this thing has happened, whether officially through, from the top or just like rogue agents, yeah, there could be people who take that information and intimidate you. Or there could be people who just sabotage the things that you do, just like make it so you can't run your business because you're constantly being audited, constantly have to go through extra security, constantly have to deal with all your requests being delayed a week because they're like, oh, this guy's on the watch list, you got to delay it. I mean, how are you supposed to run a business like that? So I think that you can snoop all you want, but do not interfere with people running their business. And what I mean by business, I don't mean like, that's my business. I mean like actual economics. Like, let people participate in the economy. We have something called the pursuit of happiness in America. It's like guaranteed. I don't know if it's the Constitution. It's like guaranteed somewhere. And if you're hassling a person and not letting them launch their business, or not letting their business succeed, or not letting them pursue their interests, you're infringing on their ability of the pursuit of happiness. So that's wrong. So yeah, I mean, you can snoop all you want, you can take all the precautions you want, but if the person didn't do anything wrong, you can't ruin their life. And I have suspicion that that's happened. Again, could be by rogue agents. Like, I think a lot of times when I talk about fears in technology applications or platforms, I talk about, it doesn't mean it's coming from the top down. It could be a third party who's found a way to manipulate that application or that platform or whatever, but you still need to protect against it. And I think it's the same thing with the anti-terrorism and the snooping. It's like, you're free to do your job. I support your job. But you also have to not look at people as eggs that can be cracked when making an omelet. I mean, you have to respect them, and you have to put in the safeguards that are not going to interfere. Because a lot of times that doesn't happen, and you see that attitude. And by the way, I have plenty of family who are like cops, firemen, sanitation. I'm not saying anything against them. But sometimes the sort of thing you see in the movies, the sort of was probably the real way to act and the most professional way to act 100 years ago, like shut up, sit down, you don't need to know, that kind of stuff. That probably all was true 100 years ago, 75 years ago, maybe like 35 years ago. But it's not true today. And you can, like, business world move so quickly, that sort of sit down, shut up, you don't get any information for 72 hours or 72 weeks in the case of certain people, like these J6 arrested people. Some of them are in jail like 2-3 years, and they don't even have like court dates yet. You shouldn't be able to ruin people's lives who haven't done anything wrong, or at least you have yet had the time to investigate and determine if they've done anything wrong. So, yeah, I mean, take all the safety precautions as you want. Aren't they always looking for ways to, like, launder money and steal money? So if someone tells you, oh, we don't have the resources to do that job correctly, it's better just to lock them up, they're lying. They're simply lying. This government is wasting like billions and billions and tens of $billions per day. They could do things right. They don't need to cut corners. They don't need to ruin someone's life to save $1 billion. Believe me, they're wasting $2 billion and they're not saving anyone's life. So do your job the right way. I don't know if there's anyone listening here who has any of those type of jobs, but that's what I would say. Just do your job the right way. Just respect everybody. We're all good people. I mean, a lot of times people get hung up on like this party, that party. 98, maybe 99, maybe higher % of people in both parties, good people. You can make good rules. Accidents happen, whatever. Admit to it. Do better the next time. You know, that's how I feel. Anyway, I feel like I've rambled too much. It's 20 minutes in, and I haven't put a single piece together. So let's focus on that. Thank you for listening. I apologize if it wasn't your cup of tea. Anyway, where we left off, it looks like it was instruction 18. So let's take a look at 18. Did we complete 18? It looks like they're building something new in 18, and it looks like, let me just give me a second to check if this matches what we're seeing in 18. So, does that look right? 2 pieces, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that looks right. So 18 is done. All right, so let's take a look at 19. Right? 18, 19. Okay. 19. So let's advance to 19. So looks like there are no pieces in 19. We're just attaching this sort of smallish piece to this rather largish piece. And the orientation to hold it is like this. And this little piece here, we can key in on this to identify where this needs to be added. So we're going to take the side. Actually, both sides have 4 pins showing. We're going to take the side with the gray plus sign pin, which I believe is going to go right here in this plus sign. I mean, that would make a lot of sense. We might have to spin it a little to get it to fit. So let's get it in there, started, and then we'll spin it. And then I believe everything else is going to line up. Ooh, this whole piece spins. Okay, wasn't expecting that. Forgot about that. All right, it's not going to spin after all the other attachments are made, but it spins at the moment. All right, so let's see what we got here. It looks like these 2 pins are supposed to line up with the second and third out here. So, all right, we still need to get this the right way, which is tricky to do because, all right, I think I got it. I think it's right. Like, you can't put it in place and then spin it because then the other pins will hit. You have to line it up and then push it in. But definitely this is the one you want to get in first because the circles can go in. They're circles. They can go in any way. But the plus sign has to go in a certain way. All right, so that's it. That's 19. So this no longer moves because it's now attached from both sides. It's starting to look like something. I'm not really sure what it's starting to look like, but it's pretty big. It's one piece. It's got a rubber band that moves. I don't know. It's got this thing. I don't know. A little T there. Honestly, I don't know what we're building. I don't think I'm going to give this a high rating, but we're building something. Okay. So let's move on to instruction 20, which is right below 19. Instruction 20 has 3 pieces, one of them doubled up. So that is 4 pieces. So that brings us to 110 pieces total. There's a 1 by 1 symbol on one of those pieces. So let me see here. Are we on page 20? Not yet. Yeah, there's 20. So the 1 by 1, that piece is called 3, so we can measure that piece against that. But honestly, I think I know exactly what piece that is, and I don't think I need to measure it to identify it. It's like I've seen that piece. Here it is, right? All right, let's just put it up against the 1 by 1 to confirm, but like I don't see how it's anything but this piece. Yeah, I'd say that's a match on the 1x1 scale. You can even see right through the circle there. All right, so that's the piece. All right, and then we also need, this is an interesting piece. It's kind of like this piece, but it's shorter. Imagine if this piece was cut off after this. That's what we're looking for. So it's like a circle with a little plus sign coming out of it. Is that correct? Let's take another look here. Yeah, I think that's right. And then 2 1/3, 2/3 in white. So there's the 2 1/3, 2/3 in white, off-white, beige, whatever you want to call it. Now, where is that circle with a plus sign? Is this it? That seems kind of like it, right? I think that's it. Oh, by the way, I want to tell a second story. I'm going to bring these albums out. There was this like conversation with my kids, actually one of my kids. And I was saying that, when I entered college, I was like 175 pounds because my kids are like, one of them's 190 and the other one's 210. They're like huge. I'm not super tall. My driver license says 5'10". I don't know how accurate that is. Let's say I'm within at least an inch of that, or let's say less than an inch of that. So anyway, and I was thin when I entered college. So I went to an album which had both of my college IDs because I went to Marist and I transferred to Siena. And I was skinny in both of them. So even sophomore year, I was still skinny. I don't think I got fat till I was like 23. So, there have been times since then when I've gotten back into shape, but like right this moment is not currently one of them. So I need to get back into shape. So anyway, I brought up these albums to show the kids that I used to be in shape. And they also had all these articles from my athletic days. So when I was in college, I got up to 205 and I did the throwing events. I was very successful. I was MVP at both colleges. But I was 100 pounds less than the other throwers. But that's not really the point of this story. The point of the story is that when I was in high school, I did every different event. So I was doing the triple jump, the discus, the hurdles. I was running on 4x4 relays. I did the long jump at a meet. I did the javelin. Like, I didn't even have a memory of ever throwing the javelin from my high school, but I found an article today. And it was like a meet when I scored in several events, and that was quite common. Like, I would score, the biggest meet of our season is intersectionals, and it was like a year where I scored indoors in the triple jump and hurdles and outdoors in the triple jump and discus. So I was like really good team player, showing up and scoring whatever points needed to be scored. But what I wasn't was like a specialist. And you might think, well, who wants to be a specialist? Like if you're playing basketball, you want to be like you want to be able to do a little of everything. If you're playing baseball, you want to be like a 5-tool player. Like who wants to be a specialist? But in track and field is very much a specialist sport. Because if you don't specialize, you're going to get beat by the people who do. So even in college, I still was doing decathlons during the summer. But in high school, it was like very obvious that I could have done a lot better than I did if I'd picked an event. And people used to say that, they would say, jack of all trades, master of none. And I would kind of laugh it off because I would think, well, I do decathlons in the off season, so I'm fine with it. But here's where I'm going with this. Am I making the same sort of mistake in my adult life? Because I made comic books, graphic novels, animations, stand-up comedy. I've written books. Currently, I'm doing a live streaming show. I do programming and databases and computer forensics at work. I've done some voiceover stuff. I've made some videos where I was acting and directing other people in acting. And I'm just thinking, like, maybe I should pick something. Like, I don't know what that something should be, but, like, maybe I'd be more successful if I picked something. I don't know what that's, again, I don't know what it would be. I think it's very difficult to pick something and say, like, that's the thing you're going to do for the rest of your life. But here's the thing. I'm turning 50 in 3 months. So at this point, it doesn't even matter. Like, I've pretty much lived a full life, and I could pick something to specialize in it now, and it wouldn't really be a problem. Because, as I said, I've already done plenty. Like, I've already done animations. I've already done videos. I've already done this model stream. I've already written books, published books. I've already done interviews, both ends. I've written for papers. Basically, I've kind of like Forrest Gumped my way through life. And I wouldn't say I've gotten anything done. I mean, I basically have like failed at everything that I've attempted. And that's similar to what I was seeing when I was reading those old newspaper articles from when I was in high school. It's like I showed potential in everything. I followed through on nothing. And that's probably what I've been doing with my life. I see that people have dropped off the stream, so I'm probably boring everyone by talking about my life. So I'll try to stop doing that soon enough. But so the point of that story was just that I need to, whatever I choose to do, I need to stick with it. Like, I suppose I could have like secondary interests that I do just for fun, but I should have some type of activity that I stick with. Probably. I don't have an answer on what that activity would be. Oh, sorry, my hands were probably blocking what I was doing there. So the second circle gets this, it looks like a trailer hitch or whatever, like a truck hitch, like you're going to attach a boat to something. And then they want to attach this second one, but it's unclear on where it attaches. I guess you just go as far as you can. Let me count the circles that are open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's right. So if you just put this pin into the furthest hole, then you get 5 circles open. One of them's taken, but you know what I mean. 5 circles beyond the edge, and I believe that's correct. And then we have to combine it with this. And there's 2 circles already taken, so I assume that, again, it's not clear in the instructions, but I assume that you just take the circles that are available, and there you go. So there's, I don't even know what that is. Other than to say that's the results of instruction 21. So instruction 22 is here. And that instruction 22 is just combining this big piece, this little piece with this big piece. So we're going to hold the big piece like this, direction, orientation. We're going to hold the little piece like this with the hitch sticking out. And it looks like it's going to attach in such a way that you're going to see those pins, and they're going to show up behind this piece. So probably these are going to attach to something. I think looking at the instructions, looks like the very first circle goes on this second pin here, because this long pin seems to be right after this edge. So let's try that. I know I'm saying a lot of seems to be, looks like, because these instructions aren't super clear. I mean, you got to like, usually you've basically got to count those circles and read those pins and then hope that you're right. And then this is pointing down. There's something going on here. This is going up. This is going down. It looks like it's a little off though, because we have a circle here and we have a circle here and they're not touching. They're both receivers. So, but I don't think you can fit anything in between there. Sorry, I'm kind of off camera with that. Basically, I feel like those two pipes should fit together, or at least have an elbow bracket combining them, but they don't. There's like, you could fit like maybe a penny in between, or at least a dime. Maybe not a penny. Something going on there. Anyway, that's 22. We didn't get any, the piece counter didn't increment, but that was 22. All right, 23. 23, it looks like a duplicate. Do you remember I was talking about that sign? Do you remember I started the show? Talk about a sign. Do you remember I started the show talking about the sign at Randall's Island? I can give you this. I can give you very good information right now. So this is the sign that I said should have been at Randall's Island. Keep right of divider. And here's the sign that was actually there. That's the sign. Like, amazing, right? This sign just showed up in our instructions while I'm talking about it, which frankly is a little unsettling if you've heard my theories of consciousness and the universe before and how we're all just rendering bits and pieces of the data stream. It starts to look like, you know, this picture and the Randall's Island picture and this picture, like which is the real timeline, which is the one you're observing, you know, but I hate to go down that path because people use, like, if you make comments like that and you're like Philip K. Dick, who writes all those Hollywood movies, then you get like millions of dollars for your ideas. But if you say those ideas and you're like, for example, one of those J6ers that they just like looking for any excuse to put in jail. Well, you say something like that and someone will say like, oh, it's like paranoid schizophrenic. The schizophrenic would be seeing this sign in the book and also at Randall's Island, and the paranoid would be thinking that the helicopter is related. I'm just a normal person telling stories. I pay my taxes every year. I pay my mortgage every month. I go to church, although nowadays that doesn't seem to impress anybody in the government, and if anything, it's a negative. But the point is, I'm a good person, and I strive to be an even better person. And if someone uses that as evidence to lock me up, they're the bad person. Because I'm always, you know, I can't say always, but at least to this point, I'm trying to do my best. All right. That was a lot of nonsense. Now, these are all the pieces for 23. There's a lot of pieces going on there. And in fact, there's a glare on the screen and I can't really read them all. So let's go here. 23. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. So this is going to go up to 123. Oh, sorry, 123. Piece counter up to 123. So we need a 15, 2 9s, 2 1/3, 2/3 in black, 2 50/50s in black, and then one of these stubby pieces in gold. You remember those stubby pieces, right? They were like, if you imagine this piece cut off here. Oh, the light in my room just turned off. What's that all about? I was wondering if that light would ever run out. Yep, it just ran out. Actually, my desk looks better without the light. Maybe it should always be out. Anyway, the light in my room just ran out. But I still have these like desk lights. So, wow. You can still see even without... Anyway, I have 2 desk lights. There's another one on the other side. Wow. Okay. So we're on the desk lights only, which is good. it's good that it still works. So if you imagine this piece with just this end, this would be like, that's the piece we're looking for. Stubby little piece. I think so anyway. Let me take a close look at this. No, I was wrong. That's not the piece we're looking for. We're looking for one of these boat hitch pieces. All right, so one of those, 2 black 50/50s. Now I got to double check all these pieces. Yeah, 2 black 50/50s, and then 2 1/3 2/3 pipes, and then what did I say? 2 9s. Is this a 9? 2 4 6 8. Yeah, that's a 9. So I need a second one of those. 2 9s. There we go. Well, is that all the pieces? 2 4 6 7. One more piece. A 15. So a 15, is that a 15? What is this, a 9? So if I put it over, there should be 6 left. 2 4 6, that's a 15. All right. So what do we do with all this junk? Let's see here. Doesn't look like they're using all the pieces, right? I guess they kind of use them as you move along and snap them together. All right. So looks like you start. Oh, you know what it is? It's just like you start off just like the previous piece. So you take the yellow trailer hitch, boat hitch, and you put it in the second circle here. And then you put the 50/50s in the second and fourth positions on the same side as the trailer hitch. And then you take the other 9 and you put it up here. Now, this is exactly the same as what we just did over here. So if we put that together, everything should line up, which it does, right? Yeah, that all lines up. So it's just like the pieces we already did. I definitely got to replace that light bulb. It's a little too dark without that light. You know, I have another light here. Let me try if I can even reach that light. I have all these I can't get to it at the moment because all right, I'm going to reach across the cameras. I got all these cameras set up, and as a result, oh wow, my arm's not on screen. I thought for sure it would be. All right, let's see if we can get this light going. Is it going to get over bright? I don't know. I turned on a desk lamp in place of the missing overhead light. I don't know if that's too much light. It's a very experimental lighting on today's show. All right, so here's this thing. Now, what next? Okay, next, we have to attach it on the other side. This should have been really obvious. It goes on the other side like this. What's not obvious is that these 3 remaining pieces, the 15 and the 2 1/3 2/3, they're going to go in a different location. I don't know if that's something we previously did on this side. I don't think so, right? Maybe. Let me put this piece on first and then we'll worry about that. So we're just going to match this to the other side. I don't think I even have to think too hard about this. It should line right up with the other side. Right? You would think. Seems like it should be easy. So far, it's not easy. Did I do something wrong? Am I just forcing pieces that don't actually fit? This went on easily on the other side, right? I wasn't struggling with it at all. Because this side is not going on. Alright. Started to go on. Went on. Okay. Alright. I think that's a match. We got that on. Now, this last piece. If you can believe it, these two pieces are not going to go with this piece. These two pieces we're just going to stick in here. And then this piece we're just going to stick on here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This fifth hole is where the first piece comes out. And that piece is going to go in the second piece here. So everything else should just line up based on that. On this lower level here. Okay. Am I like pushing things? I don't know if I'm like doing good or bad. I'm feeling pieces move. And I don't know if they're moving because they weren't previously pushed in all the way or if I'm breaking stuff. Seems like it's pretty good. Alright, now, these last two pieces. Alright. If we go down here to where this piece is, right next to it there's a filled in circle. And next to that, that's where the first one of these goes in. And it's weird that it only goes in a little bit, considering the ridge is here. So I think I got to pull it out and put it in the opposite direction. All right, I think that's correct. I think so. I'm not sure. Next to that is a vacant hole, 2 vacant holes, and then a filled in. Second vacant hole, basically skip one circle. We put the other one in. Now, I plan to do a longer show tonight. I only did 47 minutes yesterday because I tipped a bunch of pieces at that point. And I'm going to have to stop again today because my light burnt out. So tomorrow I'll install a new light. For today it doesn't work. I don't know. If that helicopter, just to continue with the paranoia, if that helicopter was doing an EMP, I guess I'm glad it only affected the light bulb and not my my computer, you know. Anyway, I don't think there was an EMP on the helicopter. I just think that the light bulb burnt out. I actually was anticipating that it's eventually going to burn out, and I was thinking I should have a backup because this light was like particularly bright. It's like brighter than the one in the hallway. But at the same time, maybe I should learn how to light this stage without relying on the overhead light. So I'm going to replace the overhead light with whatever light bulb I find, and then I'm going to think about how to rig more lighting onto my desktop stage here so that I'm not relying on the overhead light, which requires me having to put this like diffuser as a roof over the entire rigging. So yeah, I'm going to find a new way to light the stage. But for tonight, I'm just going to say goodnight and peace out, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.